I thought it might be fun to take a look back at one of my very first performances as a violinist. And this was years and years before I ever became a professional violinist or an orchestra teacher or a conductor. So we're going to take a trip back to the mid-1990s. And you're going to be able to tell because it's very much VHS quality. And my dad had this big old camera that he recorded all of our family gatherings with. And my recitals were no exception. I'm really glad that he captured all these early memories of me playing violin. All right, so as you can tell, it is the 90s, as I said. And there I am up on stage, looking pretty poised, looking pretty relaxed. Let's see how it goes. My teacher's getting all of her music ready there. I appreciate that. I look pretty professional, so that's good. It's a good start. So overall, pretty good start. A few things that I noticed. First of all, obviously, a little bit out of tune here and there, right? I had a few notes that were a little bit clunkers there, where I had to adjust. Where I'm sliding around a little bit. But the good news is, I did find the notes, and I did eventually get them there. Just kind of took me a second. Let's keep listening, see if it gets better. So it got a little bit better that second time that the melody happened. I think I did a better job of playing that. Certainly it was a little bit more in tune. A few things that I kind of noticed, just posture related. I'm a little bit hunched over, a little bit old man-like, which is a little bit strange to see, right? I'm kind of a little bit like this, rather than keeping my neck nice and vertical, head up nice and straight, right? Which is something that's really important. We always want to make sure that we do as players. So I can tell that I'm struggling just a little bit with that position. And then my left thumb is a little bit kind of guitar-like. I've got my thumb almost positioned like that, which is a little bit strange. But overall, pretty nice job. I can just tell that with that and my bow elbow being a little bit high, that I want to work on kind of relaxing my neck and my shoulders and getting my head up a little bit straighter. Let's keep listening. A little out of tune. This is a complete side note, but you can see that little painting, that drawing in the background on the right. And it was this really expressively painted violinist. And I remember always looking at that in my teacher's home, because this was recorded in her home. It brings back wonderful memories seeing this, because that's where I would have my lessons and we'd have our recitals, because it opened to a dining room that was adjacent where people could sit. And they put a whole lot of chairs in there. But I remember looking at that violinist and thinking, I want to play like that. The way that looks is the way I want to look, and the way I want to sound, how that violinist would inevitably sound. It's kind of cool. Good, so a little bit of struggle going from B flat to F is quite the stretch, right? So we got to get that F sharp nice and high, and I was struggling just a little bit with that, you can tell. It's also wonderful to see my old teacher in this video, and I'm very lucky that Dr. Caroline Went is still living and still with us in her very late 90s. And still sharp as ever, and just an amazing, amazing human being who was so patient with me all those years ago, and I'm just so grateful for her. And how awesome that she played piano as well. Not only was she a brilliant violinist, but she was a brilliant piano player too. That's so rare to see. And I love the fact that she made me memorize this music. Notice, I'm playing this all from memory. She never let me use the sheet music, which I so appreciate that, because it made me become a better musician and really think about how the music should sound. Helps me as a conductor. Good dynamic contrast. I'm playing a little louder. So it was good. It got a little bit more exciting in that passage, right, where we build into the development. One thing I did notice is I wanted to stop my bow quite a bit. And notice, do you see again that posture that I was talking about, how my right arm and my right shoulder is uncomfortably high? My shoulders need to be relaxed. But I can see that I was stressing a little bit over getting those notes in tune. And so I stopped my bow, which is a little bit strange, right? That's really the opposite of what we want to do. We want to keep the bow flowing. And then... But obviously I was a little bit worried about being able to play those flats in tune. But overall I did a pretty good job. Just got to work on that posture, as you can see there. I got better at that with years. Okay, a little strange there. my look to the audience, I'm almost staring them down. And hey, how's it going? Joel Powell, nice to meet me. a little cringy there, a little cringy. So stage etiquette, I still had to work on a little bit. A little strange to stare at your audience. Okay, so I could tell what was happening there. My teacher clearly said, hey, you're going to give me a cue when we get to that point when you come back in, right? So, but I kind of just held that position. So it made it kind of hard for her to know when to play, but she did a great job of following me nonetheless. So obviously it's building, it's getting more exciting. Wish I would use a little bit more bow and obviously tune every single note. I was a little out of tune right on that G, but I adjusted. A few issues there. My teacher did a masterful job of following me because I definitely skipped over a note. Right? And I kind of skipped over part of that and then double timed. And so... oops, had a little bit of a timing issue there. We'll see. But I recovered, which is good. I just want to point out, I like my posture better right here. See how I'm standing straighter? See, I really should have that position all throughout the performance rather than being hunched over and looking like I have back problems. another bow, man. Come on, get back up there. They're still applauding. Great to see my teacher smile over there too. You could tell that she was overall pretty pleased with my performance. So that's good, at least. That little cadenza at the end, I wanted to rush through it. You could tell. So, and I was nervous about that. I remember wanting to try to get that fast and sounding, making it sound really virtuosic, but obviously I was struggling just a little bit there. And I can tell it was just the notes were a little bit too separated for my liking. It should sound more like... where everything's connected. Then, without staring into the audience's soul. So instead, just looking at my left hand as I finish the chord. But I wasn't quite onto that. And I also should have just held that position right at the end a little bit more, right? But it's understandable. I was new at the whole process, and first time I'd really been up there performing like that to speak of, with an audience and playing the recital. One of my students commented the other day that, "Oh, Powell, you must be just a natural virtuoso from the beginning. You must have been a prodigy." Absolutely not. You can see that I had to work on it. It was not easy for me, and I continued growing through all these performances. And if you enjoyed this, please comment below. I'd love to hear if you found this series interesting, if I should continue it and do this again. And I would love to hear from you. What are some of the challenges that you're working on as a musician as well? What were some of those first performances like for you? In the meantime, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks.